Listen to me. We don't want to kill any of you. But trust me, we will. Wake them up a little! This whole thing is pretty much done. We're more ghosts than people. You have got to keep faith. They will not crush us.
Good old Dutch. My best friend. You know how we met? A pair of hucksters trying to rob each other. Back in 78 or thereabouts.
You have to love yourself a fire. It's one of the blessings. Sure, we can have fire. And we can have the knowledge of fire. But with that comes the knowledge of everything. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a robbery.
Sons of Dutch. Makes us brothers. Sometimes, brothers make mistakes.
You'll never change. I know that.
All of you venerate savagery. And you will die savagely. Get out here!
Stay strong. Stay with me. You have to love yourself a fire.
Welcome to Chapter 3 of Heroes and Hardships. This chapter, Handy with the Steel. If you have not subscribed, please do. Blades and Blasters usually has daily content with actual plays, some system tutorials with character creation as well, and live chats about once a month. So this is, as I said, Handy with the Steel, Chapter 3, run by Heroes and Hardships, which is a unreleased system. And this chapter picks up pretty much almost directly after Chapter 2, maybe an hour or so after. I'm going to swing you guys over to this, and I'm not on the right one here, so... So it's been about an hour since the calamity at the Dunn mine, where Jessabelle Dun was lured into the mine and some rowdy miners took a couple shots at her. Luckily she had Sticky Joe and her niece Mary, as well as a preacher who had been there at the mine preaching at the same time. The preacher was shot, and so Jessabelle asked Mary to take him to town to make sure that he was okay. That left Sticky Joe and Jessabelle riding back towards the manor, and I'll let you take it away as your horses begin to come closer to the manor, walking down the lane there as you are arriving.
So, Jessabelle's been fairly quiet the whole trip back. She's kind of maintained this stoicness about her, looking as though what happened in the mine didn't bother her. But as she rides, it's easy to tell that her knuckles are white and clasping hard against the rein. She still sits upright, her legs to the side of the horse as she rides, looking straight ahead, though she occasionally glances at Joe. She makes minimal conversation unless he engages with her.
Joe, seeing how tense Jessa was, made sure not to engage her in conversation, knowing that she needed time to process what had happened in the mine. Something like that is not something Joe would expect a young woman like Jessa to have to experience and participate in. So he keeps quiet until they get back to the manor, and he leads their horses over to tie them up, and as he gets down, he offers to take the lash from Jessa and kind of jokingly says to her, that was some mighty fine shooting in there. Where'd you learn to use a pistol like that?
And Jezebel offers a bit of a forced smile to well, if I hit more than anything, then a lot of it I learned from my daddy. But majority of it was just taking pot shots and some of the help back on the ranch back home.
Well, I can't say enough of your shooting skills. I think we should go inside and give you a minute. And then when you're feeling a bit better, we can talk about your brother.
Jezebel, you see the stable girl come up towards you, and she gives a curtsy. Ma'am, do you want me to take the man's horses to the stables?
Jezebel nods and gestures to the horse. Yeah, take them, Winifred. Make sure they're all taken care of, and see if they have to get their get cleaned up or anything like that, please and thanks. And if you see Mary come back at all, just ask her to take care of the horses with you.
Oh, of course, ma'am. I'll have it done. I'll give him a good brush down. She forces a smile, walks over to Sticky Joe, and reaches out for the reins.
Joe hands them to her and kind of motions for Jessa to lead the way, being her manor and all.
Yeah, Winifred simply curtsies to you as you pass them over to her, and she pulls the reins with her, and see her kind of turn the corner around the manor towards the what you assume is the stables. You've not seen them, but they're probably around there somewhere. And she disappears from view.
Jessa looks to Joe, motions for him to follow her as she picks up the front of her skirt and starts walking into the house. She does seem to keep eyes out, seeing if there's anyone else here. You see her head's almost on a bit of a swivel. She's kind of looking around, maybe not just for any of the help, but anyone else who might have been on the property.
Joe, kind of picking up off her physical cues, can ask, "Are you expecting a bit much more trouble, are you?"
And she sighs as she heads inside. No, I'm really hoping not. I'd rather not deal with anything else like that today.
Oh, after a tough day like this, there's nothing more than sitting down and relaxing, having a stiff drink, not thinking about your trouble.
I don't know about the relaxing part, but having a stiff drink sounds nice right about now. And she'll make her way into the home, and she'll head off towards the parlor.
Yeah, you head inside, and you see Rosie immediately head towards you. Let me just move you guys over to the parlor. Rosie is coming down the stairs. She is in a fairly typical white or red apron. Joe would easily pick her out to be the help. "Oh, ma'am, I didn't hear you come in. Just sorry. What can I get you and your feller? Excuse me, I don't know your name. Something? A bite to eat? It's getting around dinner time.
Thanks, Rosie. All we really need is probably some whiskey and some glasses. Other than that, just make sure no one bothers us, alright?
Oh, would you like me to bring them to your office, ma'am?
She thinks for a moment and nods. Yeah, the office will be the best. Thanks, Rosie. You can see she's still very stiff, even trying to be very curt with Rosie and very short.
She looks at the both of you for a few seconds longer than maybe Jessabelle is comfortable with, but turns and walks through this door towards the kitchen to go get the bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses.
Jessabelle will take that and start heading up the stairs up to her office and look back. You coming?
Oh, that I am. And he follows her up the stairs, taking his duster off and hanging it up before moving up.
Yeah, your office is just the way you see it. Nice, tidy. Nobody's been in here, clearly. The help knows better than that unless you're getting served something in here. It doesn't take long for Rosie to follow you up. She has a tray of ice and a bottle of Kentucky bourbon. There are 2 large glasses on the tray. She sits them down and gives another curt bow and heads directly back out the way she came. She stops at the doorway and says, "Open or close, ma'am?"
Closed, Rosie.
And she nods again and gives another sidelong look and then closes the door and heads down the hallway.
Joe kind of tips his hat towards her and gives her a wink and a smile as she's exiting.
Jessa makes her way over to the tray, and you see now that it's just the 2. Her hands start to shake as she takes the whiskey into her hands. She starts pouring some of it into one of the glasses, but has to stop herself as you see some of the whiskey spilling out from over the glass onto the tray. She puts the bottle down and grips the table hard. Joe, do you mind?
Joe, seeing her state, walks over and goes, "Oh, of course I can do that for you. Seeing something like that, it's not easy on the nerves. Let me get that for you." And he goes over and pours a glass, couple fingers of whiskey for each of them, and hands one to her and holds his glass out for a toast. And another day live is another day to be thankful for the Lord. Clinks her glass and downs it all in one gulp and sucks air through his teeth afterwards as it kind of burns as it goes down his throat.
She gives him a bit of a smile, mostly forced again, as she takes a sip of hers, closing her eyes and shaking her head as it goes down. Don't exactly know how to process all this. I've never been shot at before.
Sticky sets a glass down, kind of walks up to her and kind of gently reaches out a hand, not being too forward, and kind of pats her on the shoulder and goes, "Oh, during the war, there are people sterner stuff than you that broke down after the first gunshots were fired. I can understand if you're a little weak in the knees afterward."
Yeah, well, I'm trying to not break down right now. I can't really let everyone else see me like that. I didn't think after getting into this that I'd have people trying to kill me.
Joe kind of smiles, says, "Oh, well, I appreciate you feel comfortable sharing your feelings between you and me. But if you need to get something out, I'm a shoulder to cry on."
Oh, I ain't in the business of crying, Joe. I am in the business of drinking. And she'll take another swig of her whiskey, again shaking her head and scrunching up her nose at the taste.
"Oh, you might be careful there. I've heard drinking leads to crying in some people."
Maybe. It's gonna take quite a bit more to get me to that level. And, well, we'll see if I get there.
"Well, lucky for you, we've got all night." And he pours himself another and kind of sits down in the chair across from her and goes, "I know it's been quite a bit for you today, but if you'd like, I can tell you more about what I promised about me and Cassidy."
Jessabelle sighs, and you see her sit on the edge of her desk, and she swirls the whiskey around in her glass. She seems to be very focused on the liquid within as she nods. Yeah. Might as well. Tell me about what happened to Cassidy. I'm not fully looking forward to hearing about it, but well, she takes another drink. It's now or never, really. Kinda need to address it, I guess.
Joe kind of sits there and thinks for a minute and kind of collects his thoughts, and I'll try and give you as few details as possible. I don't want to put any images in your head that you don't want. But as you know, him and I, we joined up and fought together, since probably the first shots were fired. And we made our way up to Tennessee, where we did most of our fighting. And come in 1864, we were up near Fort Pillow doing a scouting mission. One of them freed colored boys took a shot at us, put a ball right into his chest. I got off my horse and drug him to cover. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do nothing for him, but I made a promise. He asked me to promise him that I'd come take a look after you once the war was over. And there's nothing I could do but accept the request of a dying man.
As he's telling the story, Jessabelle's finished her first glass, and she pours herself a and actually reaches over, even though Joe had barely touched his, pours him some more, putting the whiskey bottle down. She looks up at him. Appreciate you honoring his request. Otherwise, I probably would have never found out. But why exactly is he asking you to come up and take care of me? He knows, was married.
Oh, from what I remember, he was never too fond of the man that you married. You know, on top of that, and you can tell Joe's a little shy. If there's one thing Ward taught me, it was to stop living for tomorrow and live in the present. And if there's one thing that he probably knew is, I had a little bit of a crush on you when we were growing up, and he knew if anybody would do him right and look after you, he knew it'd be me. And I'll be honest, at first I was a little hesitant coming up when I found out that you were married. Didn't know how well I'd be received, but it looks like the Lord put me here for a reason.
And as Joe says he had a crush on her, you can see there's a genuine smile that comes from Jessabelle. very reminiscent of her days back on the ranch, back down, back at home. And she smiled at Joe and cocks her head to the side. You had a crush on me, really now?
Oh, I did my best to hide it. I did. Back in those days, I was a little bit shy, especially around the pretty young lasses such as yourself, but I always made a point to come see you ride at all the tournaments. I don't know if you noticed or not.
And she nods while taking another sip. Yeah, I noticed you out there. I always notice you rooting for me. You must be fairly pleased that my husband's gone then, since he probably would have been fairly upset that someone like you's coming back in my life.
I can't say I wish death upon him since I didn't know him, but from the brief time we talked, it didn't sound like he was a very good person for you. So in that regard, I can't say that I'm shedding too many tears over him.
Oh, well. She looks out towards the door and she leans forward. You can tell some of the alcohol has wormed its way in. She gives him a grin. I was never a fan of the bastard either. Always sweating, running around this place, more just like an oaf, walking around and messing up the business. And she takes another drink. I ain't crying that he's dead. Well, cried enough to put on a bit of a show, but you know how it is.
Joe, kind of realizing that she is miserable in her marriage, kind of actually happy to hear it, and he goes, oh well, I'm sorry they didn't treat you right. You deserve a man who knows how to make you smile, how to make you happy. Sounds like he couldn't do any of those things.
Well, he treated me fine enough. He didn't hit me or abuse me or anything like that, so I'd say I was, in a sense, pretty lucky. But when he originally said that he had, property and mines and business opportunities up here in Colorado, based on what he said, I expected much, much more than he was actually promising.
No, it sounds like you've been swindled proper. I just can't believe that a man like that with a woman like you, that you didn't have any children.
And she takes another long drink and again wrinkles up her nose. Oh, believe me, he attempted. I say attempt as it was more of a sad act. Not much there, not much feeling. I'd say it's probably for the best. My sons would have been made fun of, I feel.
Joe kind of like pauses, controlling himself, takes a sip of whiskey and goes, oh, it just sounds like you're doubly cursed. A man, a liar, a man without any money, and a man that couldn't perform where it counts most.
Well, he had the money, as you can tell, and she gestures kind of around the room. I mean, I did get a few mines out of the deal, but unfortunately, there was always opportunity for more, but I guess I settled a little bit too early. And she shrugs while taking another drink. At least it's all mine now.
Well, that's very true, but it seems a few people are trying to make that come undone. But I can say that the Lord works in mysterious ways, and He may have been testing you now, but the question is, how are you going to answer that test? I was tested several times in the war. It didn't quite live up to my father's expectations, but I'm here now. And it looks like I'm going to answer his call and do some right by staying here and helping you.
Jessabelle cocks an eyebrow. What do you mean you ain't been doing your daddy proud? Thought you folk fought hard in the war, though you lost. I mean, happy you ain't dead, that's for sure. It came in definitely handy, bit of, and not saying that I ain't happy to see you, but what happened exactly?
He shuffles uncomfortably in his seat, taking another drink. Kind of tips his hat back and looks up the ceiling as he stalls and deciding how much he's going to share. And ultimately, after your brother died, it was about March 1864. About a month later, we came across the place, Fort Pillow. And I was still carrying your brother's death with me. And let's just say, when we took the fort, we didn't treat them very well at all. You might have heard of it, but some called it a massacre. And I didn't treat the populace very nice. And there's one girl in particular I was particularly hard on. Now, I didn't take any prisoners that day. And it's a shame. I lived with her for a long time. A shame I'll continue to live with, but I'm trying to do right now. Make amends.
Jessabelle clicks her teeth as she looks over to Joe. She takes another drink and tilts her head to the side. You know, Joe, I ain't gonna judge you for what you did. Sometimes in war, there's some horrible things that need to be done. Horrible things that have been done and committed. But you gotta think about it in the moment. And at that moment, maybe it was right. Maybe they deserved what they got. Maybe they shouldn't have been there in the first place. And sometimes, you know, things happen. Things happen to good people. Things happen to bad people. But looks like you came out on top, and I'd say that's a very good thing. You might want to do right by the upsetting things that you've done in your past. I personally don't think you should regret it at all.
Joe's clear, surprise on his face. He's probably the first person that's not judged him in some way when he's mentioned Fort Pillow. And well, that's mighty nice of you to say. I think you're the first person that's ever said that to me, and that means quite a lot. It's hard to tell somebody that you're carrying the guilt of your friend's death around, and then in an opportunity like this, it just kind of comes forth, and it's hard to control, and you want revenge on something that no matter how hard you try, you can't bring it back.
Well, I understand wanting to take revenge on people for what they've done. I mean, personally, I want to find whoever sent that man into my minds and decided to try and influence my men. I want to find him and make sure to break all of his fingers once I find him, or whoever did it. And she takes another drink at that.
Joe kind of builds up a little courage and stands up and goes to put one of her hands in his, and he puts his hand over top of hers and goes, I'll make a promise to you here and now that I'll help you get your revenge.
She grips his hand and smiles. Well, I very much appreciate that, but I think it's a bit more than just revenge at this point. There's quite a few people who want what I have. Quite a few people who've propositioned me for the mines, getting more aggressive with their sales tactics, and really trying to convince me that a little woman can't handle such a big place, let alone 3. Trying to get minimum money out of me and trying to squander what I've attempted to take and build myself. And that's not how I want to go out, Joe. That's not how I want to leave a legacy in this place. I want to make sure that my name is known across this area and this town and maybe even this country. I want to own as much as I can, and I will. And she pauses, trying to find the right words, kind of thinking back to earlier today when she threatened to kill someone in front of a priest. She pauses, taking another drink. I will move with great force anyone who's in my way of what I want to do.
That reminds me of the girl that I saw riding in all those rodeos and competitions back in Texas. She is fearless then, and I see a fearless woman in front of me today. I saw a fearless girl in the mines, and I think all these people here in this area have grossly underestimated who they're dealing with. And Joe kind of sits by her on the desk and holds up a glass and he goes, I think you've got yourself a man with a gun who knows how to use it, who will help you achieve those aims. Question is, what do you want to do first?
Jessabelle clinks her glass against his and takes a drink. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do first. Mostly just, well, find the one responsible for that mine incident. Probably question those 2 miners who ran off to take advantage of what was going down with the jewel. See if they know anything, and if they don't, well, unfortunately they're of no use to me. I've got a little place that we can talk to them in.
Well, perhaps later tonight or tomorrow, if they're still down there enjoying themselves, I can round them up and we can take them down in this place of theirs and see what they know.
She nods. It'll be best to either do it today or tomorrow. Usually best to get them while they're enjoying themselves and drunk. That way they don't expect it.
Sounds like a fine idea. When all the blood in their brain's gone somewhere else, when they're at the jewel and they're nice and buzzed off whiskey, then we can get them proper, get them talking, find out who these people were. They're trying to muscle you out of the mines.
And find out exactly what they offered them. I know if things start going more south than anything, personally I want to preserve my hide as much as I can, though I don't want to bend any knees to any man who's trying to take it from me. I do want to attempt to hopefully buy some of the properties within LeClaire, put them under my name, though I don't know exactly if people are going to be too happy with me doing that.
Joe kind of references her earlier. Well, it's a mighty fine hide. The last thing I'd like to do is see it stripped from you. But if you don't want people knowing that you're buying it, who do you plan on using?
She looks down to the side. I'm not exactly sure. That's something I'm gonna have to think about. A lot of this is new to me. I mean, it's only been a few months since my husband died. And, I don't know. I don't know if people are going to be suspicious of me starting to put the moves in to attempt to buy a bunch of places. Get suspicious of what happened. She takes another drink at that.
Well, I know I'm new in the town, and I know it's not very easy to trust people, especially one that you haven't seen for a few years, but I'll be more than happy to help you if you need me in some capacity. If you need me to sign a deed, help you scare off certain buyers, some competition.
Might be good for you to scare off some competition. I mean, it is a bit difficult that we haven't seen each other in so long. I mean, there is that trust that comes from knowing someone from way back, and you being such good friends with my brother. That I can never forget, nor you saying, honoring his dying request to come and see me. I feel like a lesser man wouldn't have bothered.
Well, a lesser man might be intimidated by you. Fortunately for me, I'm not such a person.
You're not intimidated by me. That's a farce. I seem to almost intimidate everyone who works here.
Oh, when I was a younger lad, you were very intimidating. Hard to approach you, but like I said, after the war, I've learned to be a little more aggressive in what I want. Don't take no for an answer. Don't be shy and wait for someone else to come and snatch it up.
And she takes a drink and cocks an eyebrow. Is that what you did to that girl down at the fort?
I'm not quite sure what that was. I'm sure that was part of it. But I think it was part of that that rage coming back, seeing Cassidy die in my arms. She just happened to be there and happened to be a pretty young thing. And I wasn't very nice to her. But I didn't kill her. I could have when it was all said and done, but I knew what I had done was wrong.
Well, unfortunately, you didn't have my advice back then. Personally, though I can't speak to it because I don't like to leave very many loose ends. I wouldn't lift her alive if I were you. And she takes another drink.
Oh, well, you continue to surprise me. I didn't think I would have heard that from a lady. But you are right, after those few days I did leave her as a loose end.
Well, there's a lot of things about me that are surprising, Joe.
Like what?
And she finishes her glass and moves on to her third one. And she again pours more into Joe's, though seeing that he hasn't touched much. And she leans in close with a grin on her face. How do you think my husband died?
Oh, based on what you're saying, I'm gonna guess his body gave out on it. Are you suggesting something else?
She smirks as she leans back. Well, of course his body did give out. It was just so sad that he unfortunately died of a heart attack that a doctor discovered upon that he had. Not that I paid him off or anything like that. He just worked his little heart down to the bone, and unfortunately he's not around anymore. You can tell Jessa, she's not kind of veiling anything. It's more insinuations, and she smirks again as she takes another drink.
Joe takes like a half the glass in one gulp and kind of slowly processes all that and goes, well, just remind me to never do a poor job of pleasing you. I don't want to have any accidents while I'm out here.
Don't worry, as long as you don't attempt to betray me or anything like that, or sell any businesses out from underneath me, then you have nothing to worry about. And she'll take a finger and She'll kind of poke him on the nose before laughing and taking another sip.
Joe kind of laughs along. He's like, "Oh, you don't have to worry about that. Sticky Joe, when he makes a promise in an oath, he intends to keep it. I kept my oath to Cassidy even though it took a while to get here. And I keep making the same promise to you, that I won't betray you. And I'll see you become whatever it is you dream to be."
She smiles and again kind of tilts her head as she looks at. So, something you've never told me. Why exactly they call you Sticky Joe?
He kind of chuckles and drinks a little bit more. "Oh, Sticky. That's a nickname I had when I was in the 5 Points up in New York before my family moved down to Texas. My father, he served in the army during the Mexican War and left his mother, or his wife, and mother of his 5 children in a rather rough neighborhood. And I was left unattended. And I ran around with a bunch of kids, young boys mostly. We'd pickpocket the people as they came to and fro. I just happened to have the stickiest fingers of all of them. Got myself a couple of good pocket watches, coins, you name it. Never seemed to get caught. Always was able to get what I was after. I was just really good with my fingers, it seems."
And Jessa smiles at that. Well, and she pauses, looking down to her drink and taking another sip. I'm not exactly sure what to say to that. You can see she leans over and from on her desk she grabs a hand fan and she pops it open with a swift motion and she uses it to kind of fan herself a bit.
"Oh, looks like I owe you an apology. I've got you all embarrassed a little bit."
Only slightly.
"Oh, you keep giving me drinks, I'll get you even more embarrassed if you give me the shot."
Well, we've got a whole bottle and I feel like I'm pretty deep in it already.
"Oh, I'm sure we could get deep to it all the way to the bottom if we wanted."
And she cocks an eyebrow and closes the fan up, putting it back down on the table. Are you insinuating something, Joe?
He kind of puts his hands out for her to take him so he can stand her up. He stands up too and goes, "Oh, I do believe I am."
Really? And what exactly would that be?
He kind of leans in to give her a kiss. He goes, "Oh, something I've been meaning to do for about 10 years now. And I think after a day like today, I'd be foolish not to do."
Jessabelle smiles, putting down her drink on the table as she wraps her arms around it. Well, if that's your plan, then might as well show you upstairs. She'll lean in and give him a kiss.
And he goes, "Oh, I've been fitting to do that for a long time. After you, my lady."
She takes her arms off his neck and takes his hand. She opens the door and leads him up towards the bedroom.
The day passes into night, and you both lie in bed, and you hear the wind howl outside, and can just tell the weather is changing. You even hear the clink clink of hail as you hear in the distance thunder.
And as the two are laying in bed, Jessa's laying on Joe's chest. She's looking up to him and twirling some of his hair in her finger. Not sure if I should tell Mary about this, nor any of the help, but I think some of them might already know.
Oh, I'm sorry if we're a little loud, but I won't say anything to your cousin if you don't want me to. And as for your help, they'll be quiet if we tell them to be.
She laughed. She's not my cousin. She's, technically she's my niece.
Oh, well, sorry. I never would have guessed.
I know, she seems around same age as me. She thinks back. I don't even actually know what age she is. Never really bothered to ask.
Well, you could have been sisters, for all I know.
Probably, except, hair's a little bit different.
Oh, that I did notice. You got the Irish fire in your hair. Something I've always loved.
She giggles as she looks up to Joe. I'm sure there's more reasons you like me besides the red hair. At least I hope so.
I could list a few off, but I didn't want to bore you with such a long list.
You see her roll her eyes as he says, "You don't need to try and flatter me. You've already got me, Joe."
Oh, but I do intend to keep you. So I imagine a little flattery here and there will be serving me good.
She gives him a smile. Keep me? Really? You think that's what this is? Is you keeping me?
Joe kind of stumbles over his words. Well, I thought, that maybe, yes.
She laughs. She looks up at him. Well, it's a bit interesting as this is my house and my property and my mines and my money that you be the one keeping me.
Oh, you can keep all of that. I just want you.
Well, that's just fine with me. Though, it's unfortunate considering the timing of my husband's death. Can't really fake anything going on. Can't fake no heirs or anything like that, so should probably keep it safe as we can for now.
That's fine. I'm not going anywhere. And it doesn't seem you're very good at faking something like that anyway.
She smiles. Well, I have to agree. One of the other things I think you should know, since you're getting into this with me.
Go ahead, what is it?
Well, to be perfectly fair, I'm not planning on being very nice about many of the things that I'm wishing to accomplish. I'll step on and remove who I have to get what I want, Joe. I'm not in the kind of terms of being nice anymore. I mean, well, this country was built on taking what you want So I'm gonna take the message from our forefathers and take exactly what I want by any means necessary.
Joe kind of breathes a sigh of relief. And I know this isn't fair to tell you now that we're sitting here lying down naked together, but I totally understand where you're coming from. Before I came up here, I was on the wrong side of the law, and I'm a wanted man in New Mexico. I just thought you should know that. I don't want to lie to you.
She frowns slightly. Is that another reason why I came up here, is to get away from New Mexico and hide out with me?
It just happened to be one of the motivators, but it wasn't the only one. I wasn't lying when I said I planned on keeping my promise to Cassidy. It just took a while to build up the courage to come up and see you. I was living with a lot of guilt even after Fort Pillow. I did a lot of drinking, did a lot of things, had a lot of anger to deal with. I don't think it would have been proper of me to come up and see you in the state I was in. It wasn't after I got arrested for cattle rustling that I kind of got a clearer mind of what I needed to do in my life. One of the first things I needed to do was honor my word, come see you. And on the road up here, I think I got over some of that guilt and realized that kind of the petty crime and drinking that I was doing wasn't helping anybody. And now that I'm here, I'm seeing that I made the right decision, and I'm in a much better place, and I'm much more able to help you achieve what you want.
Well, I'm glad for that. Was it just you who was doing the cattle rustling down in New Mexico?
No, I started a gang down there. Called herself the Clover Gang because we're not very original, because we're a bunch of stupid Irish mix, and that was the best that we could come up with. I had a friend, you probably didn't remember him from back in the day, but Texas Mike and Bill Taylor.
She grins. Are they still wanted down in New Mexico too?
I was the only one that got caught. I didn't rat out my friends. I think Mike went back to El Paso. Taylor went back to Houston. I think that's where he's originally from. But I'm sure if I sent word on the telegraph, if you ever needed them, they could come up and be right good help.
Depends on how far they're willing to go. I mean, there's probably going to be some less than legal things that might need to get done. Some strong arming on our part. A lot of it I can deal with the good and proper way, going through the right channels and buying what I need. But, you know, some people might need a little bit more convincing.
Oh, I don't think you'll have to do much convincing with these folks. I know Texas Mike, he's always been an independent thinker, does what he wants. And Bill, he has quite a chip on his shoulder after losing the war. He hates the Union. If it involves the law, he'll have no problem with it.
Oh, I'm not talking about convincing them. I'm talking about convincing the people that I want things from.
Oh, well, I suppose if you don't convince them, we'll have to do it the hard way.
Well, if you're willing to do it the hard way, then I'd be mighty happy for that.
Kind of looks down to her, kind of strokes her bare back. He goes, oh, I think that'll be quite right with me. I don't have a problem. Especially for someone like you.
She smiles up at him. Good. Because this is going to be a bit of a hard road that we're going on. Trying to make sure to get what we can. But I can make sure that both of us are going to be happy from the end of this, whenever that comes. But my future goals, at least, are to own as much of this area as I can. That's what I'm hoping, at least.
Joe kind of listens to the hail and the rain from the thunderstorm and waxes kind of poetic. Goes, oh, looks like Leclerc's got a storm heading its way, and its name is Jessa. They won't know what hit them.
And she smiles and laughs. Well, I guess you're right. Though unfortunately, she turns her head to look to the window. Unfortunately, it looks like we might not be able to get those gentlemen this evening. I'd rather not take out the horses in this.
Oh, you're quite right. I don't think I want to go in town like this, but on a night like this, when you're stuck inside, kind of smiles. I guess we'll just have to find something to pass the time.
She smiles up at him. Well, if you're talking about another round, then you know I'm more than willing.
Well then, I think we're of the right mind. We should get to it.
She's like, yeah, and she puts a hand over Joe's mouth. Just don't talk this time.
And the storm continues throughout the night, and the morning comes eventually with the phrasing, the sun beating back the rain and the cold May Colorado morning. And I'm assuming that is where we will end it.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything
Sounds
else you
good.
want to talk about in the morning.
I don't know about talk about unless Joe has something.
Oh, we're ready to take on the world. I suppose you'll kick my ass out now.
Yeah, get the hell out.
I'm good. We're both established we're bad people.
Okay.
That was the establishing.
Yeah. All right.